Hi. I always go hi, when I start my video. Like, you think I'd be used to this by now, but I'm really not. What are we doing today? Well, if you've read the title of this video, hopefully you know. If you're confused, we are going to be reading our palms today. That is what's going to be happening. So, before we start, I'm going to go over technically I guess 5 things in this video, just like the basics, the main things that you need to know about the hand, which are the mounts on your palm, and then we're going to go over the 4 major lines. That's the plan for this video. I will switch around to show you my hands when we get started, and I have a bunch of pictures and stuff, and I probably will be drawing on my own palms to show you. So you're gonna learn all my little secrets that I have. I don't even know, but when I was writing everything down, I was like, okay. So that kind of stuff. And then, but I have like a little disclaimer before we start this video, and it's not necessarily about reading palms, it's about me specifically. And everybody who I know will know what this is, but we don't ever think about it, like we don't consider it, but since I've lived with it my whole life, I have to tell you guys about it because it's super weird. It's normal. I'm completely fine. I don't know if anybody has noticed it in previous videos because nobody's commented on it yet, but I have a weird thumb. It's not this one. This hand's normal. That's why I'm using this hand to explain everything. This hand is less normal. It is crooked. It is like that all the time. It is my little disclaimer. It looks like this because of genetics. I was born with an extra thumb attached to this one, and due to that I have an extra bone in this thumb that makes it look crooked. It's like completely normal. It's just how I am. Since it is genetic, it runs on my dad's side because my grandfather's cousins at my generation, they had their children. They have extra toes, so it's completely normal. I can't remember the word for it, but I know there's a word for it because it's a thing. But you will be looking at my hands and you will be looking at this weird thumb going, oh my god, what the heck is wrong with her? And there's nothing wrong. This is just how I am. Because it's a weird thing. Normally people don't have weird things wrong with their hands unless they've like had an accident and chopped off part of their finger, right? But no, I've just always been this way. If you want to see a cool trick, that's my bird. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's all sit down, everybody get a chill spot, and let's read our palms to see. This will be probably part 1. If this is people really like it, I will do the part 2 to do all the little minor lines because there is a lot of those. But to do the 4 major lines and the mounts today, we will start. And take notes if you'd like. If you need to draw on your hands, that's perfectly fine. That's also what I'm going to be doing. Or what you also can do is you can put paint on your hand and stick it to a piece of paper and make sure it goes completely flat, because I didn't the first time I did it and I missed like the whole middle part. So make sure it's completely flat when you put it down, and then let it dry and you can draw and check out your hands on to do it. But do both of your hands. Make sure you have both because each hand means something different, and we will talk about that. So without further ado, with the longest intro ever, let's get started. So these are my hands. Welcome to this Palmistry video. I would just like to point out that I printed off the coolest hand ever, and I have had so much fun tracing it. But this is an example of a page, and I will be like cutting it off and putting it into my book of shadows. But these are the mounts of the hand. To start off, this is what we're starting with. So to be able to view the mounts of the hand, what you need to do is you need to lightly cup your hand like this. So just like ever so slightly inwards. And what you're going to look at is you're going to see, what do these look like to you? Do they look flat when you lightly cup them? Do they look like they're coming up a lot more than the other ones? Do they look like they're leveling out with like a little bit of a lump? Is what we're looking at here. So when you do that, look at both of your hands and just see which part looks like it's fully developed. Except for the yellow part, don't look at the yellow part yet, that's different. But every other part, what do you see? So when I look at my hand, what I can see is that the Jupiter, which is right here, my Jupiter merges in with my Saturn. My Jupiter and my Saturn merge together a little bit, which is something, and I will tell you about it in good time. This one right here, which is my Apollo, is underdeveloped. It is very flat. And then I think this one right here, which is my Mercury, is well developed. This one right here and this one right here and the middle, these are all of Mars, but they're all different Mars. So this is outer Mars, this is inner Mars, and this is the plane of Mars. As you can see, all three right here, they all are something different. But my outer Mars is pretty well developed, whereas my inner Mars, yeah, I guess is well developed as well. And then right here, this part is your Venus. My Venus is, I'd say, well developed, but my Luna is flat. That is what I would say if I looked at this. I have been thinking about this for the last 4 days while I've been looking at my hands writing down all this information. So that's where I'm going with these. So we're gonna look at this. I have like a little cheat sheet here that you can see what all of the mounts kind of mean. Whereas, so Mercury right here is for communication, Apollo is for relationships and creativity, the Saturn is for social responsibility, Jupiter is for self-image and ego, your inner Mars is physical power, your outer Mars is resilience, your plane of Mars is energy and confidence, your Venus is love and passion, and your Luna is moon sensitivity. So I'm gonna read my little thing to tell you while you look at these mounts. Be like, hey, what does that mean? I have a whole bunch of stuff. So well developed, so that you can see what they look like, is risen but not excessively. Overdeveloped is fleshy, like very overdeveloped and very prominent. And flat is like unremarkable, thin, it's very flat. To see your Mercury, which is this one right here, so it's your self-expression, communicating ideas. If it's well developed, you are a natural connector, you're honest, and you're very commercial. Overdeveloped is keen to please, so you may omit truths. If the little finger is crooked, you have dishonesty and misinformation that you pass around. If it is flat, you have poor communication skills and you are very shy. For your Apollo, which is right underneath your ring finger there, it is creativity, sociability, emotions, and the subconscious. A well-developed Apollo is artistic tendencies, charismatic, optimistic, and versatile. Overdeveloped is attention-seeking and insensitive. If it is flat, you are focused, you have limited interests beyond everyday affairs. Moving on to Saturn, which is underneath your middle finger here. This one is very, very rare to have developed. Keep that in mind. It's for responsibility, morality, and seriousness. If it is well developed, you are conservative, practical, reliable, cautious, and studious. Overdeveloped is philosophical, serious, and can be gloomy. Flat wants to be cared for, can shrink responsibility. For your Jupiter, which is this pink one right here, right underneath your pointer finger, that means ambition, success, self-confidence, leadership, pride, and ego. A well-developed one will be enterprising, focused, and loves to learn. An overdeveloped one will be domineering, unreasonable, and opinionated. Flat can mean lack of confidence, prefers direction from others. So we're gonna put this aside for 1 second, and I'm gonna tell you what happens when these guys are merged. So if you're merging your Jupiter and your Saturn like I am, you're very competitive, you're enterprising, and you have practical ambition. If you're merging your Apollo and your Saturn, which is these two in the middle here, you can put ideas into practice, you are creative and practical. If you merge your Mercury and your Apollo, you have a career in writing and communication. And so if we're gonna look at the fingers too, if you're looking at your fingers, and it's very hard to tell if you have like a long finger or a short finger. For mine, I think that my pinkies are very, very short, but the rest of mine are pretty long and average, although my middle finger could be considered short. I do have very, very tiny hands, in case anybody wanted to know. They are very small. Like, I took this picture of the image and increased it to 200%, and my hand is basically the same size. Okay, so, but a long finger above a mount increases the attributes of that mount. So considering that my ring and pointer are fairly long compared to the rest of my fingers, they increase my Apollo and Jupiter mounts. If you have a short finger, it reduces the attributes. So my pinky is pretty short, it reduces the attributes of Mercury. Whereas, let's say my middle finger is average, it adds balance to whatever that is. But I haven't really configured how to see. This one is very short. Thumb jokes throughout the entire video, so let's just go. Yeah, the thumb jokes are coming out strong anyways. Okay, so now we'll talk about the inner Mars, which is this purple one right here. So physical power, self-esteem, physical courage, and energy. If it's well developed, you have a well-balanced and honest. You are well balanced and honest. You will take determined action if necessary. If it is overdeveloped, you are aggressive, impulsive, and could show anger physically. If it is flat, you have low self-esteem and insecurity. Now we move on to this outer Mars over here. You have resilience, willpower, inner strength, and moral courage is what it stands for. Well developed is for good self-control, takes appropriate action, and loyal. Overdeveloped is, I cannot say that word, impetuous, irrationality, pomposity. I literally don't know what this is. I wrote it and I can't understand it, but that's okay. Flat is overly passive, avoids confrontation, and difficulty making commitments. Now, your plane of Mars, which is this middle one right here, you actually have to touch it. So when your hand is slightly cupped so you can see your mounts, just touch it. What does it feel like? Is it deep and firm? Is it soft and fleshy? Or is it soft and thin? I would say mine is soft and fleshy, which makes sense. But so it's for your confidence and your energy. If it is deep and firm, it is balanced, secure, practical, confident. A hard feel can show a lack of tact. Soft and fleshy, which is what I have, lack of motivation. Yeah, that's me. Soft and thin is a giver who gives too much energy to others, may lack confidence. Onto the moon, which is the Luna, which is right here, this peachy one that I drew on the outside right here. It's for sensitivity, creativity, imagination, and intuition. A well-developed one has an artistic sense, compassionate, intuitive, receptive. Overdeveloped is imaginative, fantastical, ungrounded. Flat is skepticism, tactlessness. And now your Venus, which is this one right here on your thumb, it is for love, emotion, passion, beauty, vitality, which makes sense because it's Venus. But well-developed is for good relationships, happiness, and energy. Overdeveloped, you have a high libido, impetuous, pleasure-seeking. Flat is a low sex drive, lack of motivation, difficulty connecting with others. Awesome. So now that that's over, we are going to keep this here because we are going to reference it a whole lot. So I'm just going to like slide it over to the side here so that you can kind of see the colors and stuff, and I will point them out to you when I need it. But I also have this lovely other diagram because we're going to talk about the 4 major lines. I have also numbered them because they have timings on them when you look at them. And we will get into that. There's a whole lot of information that I'm about to give to you that we're going to have a good fun time with. And we are going to start with the lifeline. The lifeline is this red line right here. Yours may be a little bit over this way, maybe over this way. Doesn't matter. It is a line on your hand in this general location. So to look at my line is actually all the way up here. This is my lifeline right here, and I have this one here, but it's less long. It just kind of ends right there. So I'm going to draw on my hands to show you where mine is. I got my red pen to show you because it's the red one, and it is right here. This is my lifeline on my left hand, and my lifeline on my right hand. Right there, and it goes all the way down there. That was a terrible line. I am right-handed, so this side is going to look worse than this side. But that's where mine located. I can raise it up so you can see it a bit more in this light maybe, because this is a better lighting. So those are the lifelines. The lifeline does not show you how long you're going to live before we start. That is not what its purpose is. Its purpose is to show you when things are going to happen, basically. It's for your health and vitality. It's mostly what it's for. So on your left hand, it is your inherited traits. Thanks guys, I did not inherit a lot. And on your right hand is how you have dealt with those inherited traits. I did pretty good, I think. That's pretty good to me. Getting started on the lifeline. The length of, like I just said, the length of the lifeline does not show how many years you're gonna live. It divides into 5-year periods, which are these timings. I put them into 10-year because that's what the picture was, and if I wanted to put them into 5-year, it would look like a complete mess. But the average life thing that most palm readers use is 75. So 75 will be down here and 0 will start up here. So 0 to 75. A clearly marked lifeline means strength, energy, and good health. Mine is pretty clear, although I have a lot of islands in mine, and we will talk about that. The stronger the line on the left hand shows living more according to destiny, whereas the right shows greater self-confidence. So as we look at mine, I am shown that I have greater self-confidence because mine is more clearly marked on this hand and it is much longer. Weaker lifeline also means less energy and more susceptibility to illness. Lots of short, unconnected lines can show oversensitivity and nervousness, but also potential and artistic brilliance. So if you look at this one, I also have like a little bit of a line kind of going like this. That could be part of my lifeline. It could be broken up, but I don't think so. I think it's less. That was a much better marker. I should use the thicker one next time. If you have noticeable gaps, such as islands, chains, and other markings, it can show illness, stress, and other disruptions. Okay, so if you have little chains, I'm going to show you what that looks like, because I do have lots of chains and islands. Actually, I drew out a picture. Let's use that. I thought I was super organized, but I guess not. This is what an island and a chain looks like. This one right here. It looks kind of like that. I have several on my lifeline right along here. So wherever the disruptions are, illness, stress, and other disruptions, which is also, if you look at the timings, mine illness and disruptions will happen in my 30s and 40s. Specifically, that's where my little timing is. So here's this a little closer look at it. So you can see the timings. I'm sure you could just Google where the timings are also to find a good picture. So that shows I have like a lot of that. It also kind of happens on this side too. So horizontal rays coming out of the mount of Venus and across the lifeline represents troubles and challenges. So just to remind ourselves, Venus is this mount right here. So if you have lines going across this way, coming out and across, I actually have quite a few right here. Those are for troubles and challenges, also in my 30s and 40s, and kind of in my 20s as well. So that just shows I'm gonna go through a whole lot. I cannot wait because I'm already in my 20s. Whew, okay. There's another thing called guardian angel lines. These start on the lifeline and extend downward. So if you look at your lifeline and you have all these weird little lines right here, I think I have one about here. See how it kind of cuts off in a V? If we follow my lifeline on this side instead of that side, we could say that this one right here is a guardian angel line. Oh my gosh, you can't see that. I'm trying really hard. This is very difficult to film. But see this? See how there's a line there and then a line there? That could be a guardian angel line. It is believed that they represent people lost at a specific age. When someone close to you dies, they are thought to become guardian angels in your life. So somewhere in my 50s or 60s, somebody really, really close to me is going to die and become my guardian angel. It's basically what that's saying. And then if you have rising lines from the lifeline to see where they end, this shows your effort to achieve success in a perfect area. So check out the mounts, and wherever from your lifeline they extend, if they go somewhere specific, say you have one going over here to your Luna, that's the part of your life at that time that you are trying to work on specifically. Maybe this isn't a guardian angel line, and it could also mean that I'm trying to achieve success in my 50s and 60s for love. We'll get there when we get there. I'm not in a rush to be in my 50s and 60s. If you have a double lifeline, which is a fainter line right about here, I do have one. It is just very subtly right there. This is it shows protection from life's difficulties. Some people also read this as a sign as prosperity and happiness. Just this little fainter line right there. The curve is also important of this lifeline. The more generous a person is more curve. If you have more of a straighter line that runs right across, it means you focus more on yourself. So mine is a little bit more generous than I think most people's. If you cup your hand just like a little bit like you do to find your mounts, or even just a bit more maybe like this, and your lifeline touches your headline, which is this line just right above it right here that goes straight across your palm. It is the green line on here. They touch. This means prosperity. If they don't, look at the angle. If it's more sharp, you have more luck. Some people have a lifeline and a headline that are apart on their left hand but touching on their right, showing they have taken their destiny into their own hands, perhaps maximizing opportunities for wealth or becoming otherwise connected to it, such as through family or a partner. However, if you look at my lifeline and my headline, they actually are connected at the beginning, and this shows the separation. When they separate, it shows when you got independence from your family. So my independence was in my 20s, which is pretty much very true. So that just kind of shows I separated from my family and went on my own. All right, that is the lifeline, the basics, the good stuff. Why is this so dark? I don't understand why this looks so dark. I have 2 lamps on it. Alright, so next we're going to talk about the headline, which is this green line right here. 0 starts on the mount of the inner Mars and ends on the outer Mars. Yours might not specifically do it, but that's just how this picture looks in front of us. 75 ends there. To analyze the headline, I'm going to draw on my headline. Let's show you where it is. And I'm purposely drawing this fork because we are going to talk about it. If it helps you to draw on your lines while I'm also drawing on my lines, I mean, like, go for it. It looks very fun drawing on your hands. The fork is honestly the only thing that I really remember about reading my palms the first time that I read it. Okay, so the headline is how you think. On your left hand, it is the intelligence you were born with, and on the right hand, it is what you have developed, how you have developed your thinking, basically. So as you can see, my right hand is much longer than my left hand. A long headline can be a sign of high intelligence and a philosophical outlook. However, this person may use this ability to further their interests rather than directly helping others. A short headline shows a focus more on practical, immediate issues and could show that you are focused on a particular life area. Look at the palm to see where the headline begins and ends, as it is one of the following meanings. If you begin on the Mount of Jupiter, so we'll look at this. Your Mount of Jupiter is this thing underneath your pointer finger. I do not begin on the Mount of Jupiter. You have confidence and ambition. If you begin below the lifeline, which is this red line, so if yours starts below there, you lack confidence and you are adverse to risk. You avoid it. If you are ending toward or on the Mount of the Moon, which is down here, all the way down here, mine doesn't really, kind of does, but not really. You are imagination and mysticism, and you have you have a lot of artistic ability. Wow, this is like so great. This lighting, I'm so sorry about this lighting. I'm trying really hard. So kind of like my fork does, but not the original line. That's this one right here. Ending or on or toward the Mount of Mercury below the little finger, which is all the way up here, this green part. You are very business or scientific. Or if you end on the Mount or toward Saturn under the middle finger over here, you have a very philosophical thought, or you're very musical. So I would say mine is more towards the Mount of the Moon. So a strong or unbroken headline reveals good concentration, whereas a fainter line can show a lack of focus and possibly poor concentration. A broken line may also be an indicator of headaches. Chains and breaks can mean obstacles and career changes. I have so many chains. So many chains. It's not even funny. Okay, now we're going to talk about the fork. Why did I draw the fork? It is called the writer's fork. Fork at the end of the headline on the Mount of the Moon is known as a writer's fork because it denotes creativity in writing and is a sign of literary talent. This just means that I got the right tattoo. Get it right. anyways, I was very excited to find that because I've been writing since I was 15. A branch from the headline to the heart line, which is this top line up here. It's the purple one on this picture. This shows a love or fascination that may become obsessive. The heart rules the head more. So if this is a strong heart line, heart line lies close to the headline. They're very close also. So if this one crosses up there or goes and ends right there, you're very obsessive. The curve of the line. A straight headline shows a logical approach to life and that material things are important, less so than the imagination. A downward curve headline ending or near the mount of the moon reveals an intuitive disposition, and the greater the slope, the more intuitive and imaginative the person will be. Generally straight but curves upward towards the side of the palm on the mount of Mars shows business success, although this person could be an unreasonable and demanding boss. So you heard it here first, I am an unreasonable and demanding boss, but I'm also very creative. So a line that begins straight and then curves shows a mix between the logical and the intuitive. A person who has the balance just right. And that is the headline. It sounds really funny. It's like a Hollywood thing. I am just using like Lysol wipes to wipe off the marker. The heart line is next. The heart line, we already kind of mentioned, is this purple line right here. Let's see if this purple will show up on my hand. The heart line is for emotions and relationships. On your left hand, it is your potential to love and sustain relationships. On the right hand, it is how you have developed your potential. Now this one is a bit backwards, whereas the other ones we were starting 0 to 75 on the outside. This one starts 0 on the outside and 75 on the inside. As you can see, my how I've developed my potential is longer than my potential, so that's very nice. And we're going to talk about how everything goes together. So 0 to 75, just so you are aware. A long line extending right across the palm to the inner edge shows a person who experiences strong or excessive emotions, but can also be driven by their feelings that they entertain unreasonable jealousy and possessiveness. This is what I meant when I said I was going to be calling myself out. Moving on. Shorter lines usually end on one of the following locations. So if your heart line does not extend all the way up here, so the first one was mostly for people who go all the way over here. So if you end on the mount of Jupiter, which is under the index finger, remember it's this pink one right here, which is where I am, this person is loyal and romantic at heart, but tends to idealize partners. For some people, this also means fame to come. We're calling me out, Emma Love Life, so between the middle and the index finger, mine kind of does that. This one ends on the Jupiter, and then this one kind of ends between them. It is a sign of realist, loving, but down to earth. Oh, that's much better. If you end on the mount of Jupiter, no, the mount of Saturn, which is underneath the middle finger right here, this person is passionate and can be overly serious. A strong heart line shows emotional security and stable relationships. A weak heart line shows emotional insecurity. If you have gaps, lines of stress crossing it, and chains and islands, it can reveal that relationship breakups and other emotional issues. So mine is pretty strong, but I have like lots of lines coming out near the top, so that just means near the end of my life I'm not gonna be doing so great with love. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna do great with love either, because I have a huge island there and some more islands over there. I colored over it so you can't really see it, but I love people, but I'm not gonna be very good at it, so that's fun to know. If you have a forked heart line with one line on the mount of Jupiter and the other line between the index and middle fingers, this reveals happiness and affection in relationships. So if it goes there and between there, that's cute. The gap between the heart and the headline, so this is between that green one and the purple one, this gap right here. I don't have much of a gap before we talk about it. The wider the gap, the greater the person's openness and generosity. The narrower the gap between them reveals a person who is more concerned with themselves than others. Check to see which line is stronger. The stronger line means dominance. Honestly, I think my heart line is a little bit stronger. on this hand, whereas this one, it's my headline that's a bit more strong. So it's like a toss-up. Although I really have small hands, so I don't know where else these lines can go. I'm assuming that they mean if your heart line is like right up against there versus like way up here kind of thing. Like my gap I think is pretty average. The curve. A curved line shows strong physical desire and someone who tends to initiate sex. A straight line can show a person who is happy to not be the initiator. Ugh. This person may also be romantic but is less sexually driven. If the heart line curves downward and crosses the head or the lifelines, it is believed to be a sign of past emotional trauma. So if your line just goes down like that, emotional trauma, that's alright. We still love you anyways. Okay, so next we're gonna move on to the fate line, which is this orange line in the middle. Oh no, using a different marker was not great. I am going to draw this one on with black marker because mine is very, very hard to see and I don't think orange would help. That is where it kind of is on my left hand. It is not all connected on my left hand, but I'm drawing it out like that so that you can see where it is supposed to be, because my left hand is very faint. It's hardly there. It took me all day to figure out where it is. And then on this hand, this one is also very faint, a little bit more prominent, but this one, it was very hard to figure out where my lifeline is located. You kind of have to mix your other lines together to see where it is, because mine honestly doesn't show up until it hits my headline, and then up there it is more prominent on both sides. This looks very funny to look at, but we look at the timings for this one. Start at 0 down here and 75 up here, so that obviously shows around my 40s is when my fate line really takes root. And your fate line is about your career and life path. Your left hand is your career potential, which is not a whole lot. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't have a whole lot of career potential, but your right hand is how you have developed that potential. So I think I'm doing pretty good. It's very motivational for that to happen. A long line extending from the racelets, which are these lines down here, we will talk about those in the next video, or the mount of the moon, which is the Luna right here, to beyond the heart line, shows a personal drive and a need to achieve. This person may have a creative vocation that stays with them for life. Where the line starts and ends will show you what life age you will or have experienced or can expect to achieve success. The kind of success that is available is up to you. If you start at the beginning of the lifeline, which is that red line that we started on, it shows you are strong, you deserve success and merit. If low on the lifeline, it shows that it shows early life may have been heavily influenced by the wishes of your parents and other caregivers. Beginning at the wrists extends straight up to the mount of Saturn, which is what I have drawn on me. It shows great success. If you begin on the mount of the moon, it's success that is dependent on your reputation. If you begin on the headline, and it's very strongly marked, which is technically where mine is, success comes later in life through hard work and talent. If you begin on the plane of Mars, usually between the headline and the heart line, it shows difficulties. But if the line is strong afterward, it shows difficulties are overcome. The second half of life is often better than the first, which is honestly what mine is showing me, really. Thanks, good to know. If you begin on the heart line, it shows success late in life after a very difficult struggle. If you end on the mount of Jupiter under the index finger, success and power if the fate line has a branch going to this mount. It shows early career and success. So if you end over here, if you end on the mount of Apollo, which is underneath your ring finger, success in the arts. And on the middle finger, which we already said, where did I say it was? It says great success. If you end at the headline, so if you start down here and you go up to the headline, which is the green line, a mistake halts success. Alternatively, this person may be dedicated to a profession until they are around 40, then choose another path. 40 is approximately where the fate line meets the headline. Ending at the heart line. So if you go up and you stop at the purple line, love gets in the way of success. Or a person changes his direction to do something he loves. Whether this is work related or not, this is often shown by a new branch of the fate line rising from the heart line. So if you go up to the heart line and then you go off somewhere else, you're following your heart. A strong, unbroken fate line shows a career life path and a career direction, and that you feel in control of events and your life direction. A fainter line shows uncertainty in your career, and breaks literally show career breaks. If you see a fork, it shows having more than one interest or career. If there are little prongs within the fork, these show the number of new interests that call. If the forks develop into marked branches, see the areas of the palm where these branches end, as it shows the life area that will capture this person's interests. The interpretations for these are for the ending points listed. A double or sister line next to the fate line shows 2 careers that you will follow. So this basically just tells me that I have no idea where my life is heading, which is 100% true. I'm in school and I do not know what I want for my job to be. So that's cool. That's really awesome. Good to know. Thank you, hands, for telling me everything. Now the last thing that we're going to talk about has to do with like little markings on your hands. I didn't write this one completely down because I was running out of steam, and that's okay. I'm going to leave these here so that you guys can get a good look at them to see what's happening. You guys can keep looking at that, and I'm going to talk to you about little symbols that you see. These are the symbols that we're looking at here. If I do this, hang on, it's very close, we can fit this into the camera so we can talk about this. So there is a star, which is this one right here. They're called shocks. They are 5 or more legs. 4 would mean a cross, which we're going to talk about after. But a star shows a shock of events. For example, on the heart line, it would indicate a relationship breakup or revelation that leads to a fundamental change in the nature of that relationship. One exception is a star on the mount of Jupiter, which is the pink, which shows a particular success in your personal ambitions. If you have a cross, it shows difficulties. Is a general negative sign meaning stress, disappointment, or difficulties. The exception to this rule is on the mount of Jupiter, which is again the pink one. Jupiter stands for ego and ambition. The cross indicates a break in this attitude, showing love and affection. And then there is a triangle. Triangle is for talent. Only red triangles that are well marked with strong lines. Triangles are considered good symbols because they mean talent and skill. If they appear on the mounts, they have the following meanings. On Jupiter, which is right here, diplomacy. Wow, I said that very weirdly. On the mount of Saturn, which is this purple-ish one, clairvoyance. On the mount of Apollo, artistic. On the mount of Mercury, business. On the inner Mars, courage and marital strategy. Martial. Courage and martial strategy. Wow, I cannot read. On lower Mars, talent in science. On the moon, which is Luna, ability to express imagination and travel. On Venus, great love. If you have a square, which can be shown kind of like this, I put a break in it because it can have a break. It is a sign of protection. It might surround a line or a broken line to appear on a mount. It offsets any negatives on a line, time the appearance in the square, and you will see the period of protection. If you have a grill, which is a bunch of lines, I just quickly want to show you that they can look like that. They're crossed lines that show problems and obstacles. An exception is if the grill is on the mount of the moon and the sun line is clearly marked. Then the interpretations is literary talent, such as writing poetries or lyrics. The sun line we did not talk about. Sun line is very close to your lifeline, but it doesn't go as far down. Islands and chains. These are small breaks and small loops or other shapes seen as negative because the energy of the line is weakened. Islands can mean confusion, doubt, and low energy. Chains are islands repeated on the line which you interpret according to their location. For example, if the chaining on the line might suggest a period of low energy and illness, which may also show up somewhere on the palm. I have so many chains, it's not even funny. Crossbars are little stoppages. These are lines that cross the major lines. It shows an obstacle in the life area associated with that line. To check for crossbars on the fate line, you would look for small horizontal lines placed across it. If the fate line reveals your career path, crossbars would be there to pinpoint the time of stress as your career path is blocked. Just as an example, it could be for any of the lines. As the line usually continues after the crossbar, this block is temporary. You would have to check the times to see where it is at. And that is Introduction to Palmistry. I did have like all these ones to draw out all these like little pictures for you guys, but I was like, I'll just write on my hands, and now they look hilarious. So there is how you can start reading your palms. If this doesn't make any sense when you're looking at yourself and you can't find lines, get your friend or your mom or your dad or whatever, just look at their hand, read their palms, see where their lines are, because maybe looking at somebody else's hands will more clearly reveal where yours are. As like I can hardly find my fate line. It's just like non-existent. I just had to draw one on myself for you guys. If you look at somebody else's hands that's very different from you, you will be able to find those lines. I will be putting these into my little divination journal, and I'm very excited to do that. And I would like to thank you all for watching this video. I would love to hear what you learned about yourself by reading your own palms, or what you learned about somebody else. So if you also have any questions about anything that I discussed here, you are more than welcome to leave me a comment or email the email address that is in the description. That is open for any questions or concerns, and I'm thinking of doing a live stream, if this is really well, to help you guys out with these specific lines. I'm not an expert. I was reading off of notes this entire time, but I do love learning about this, and I think it's very interesting, and I cannot wait to make the second video. I'm very excited for that. So thank you all for coming, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!